So we'll see how Cyber Monday goes, but yeah, Friday was pretty incredible. We did about $570 million for the entire day. At its peak, we saw about $860,000 per minute, or about 11,000 orders every single minute, which was amazing. Something else that's really interesting is that by about 2:30 p.m. on Friday Eastern Standard Time, we had seen effectively what we saw the entirety of Black Friday in 2017. So we're seeing amazing growth, and certainly a couple interesting trends definitely came out of Friday, and we'll see what happens today.
Harley, how would you measure what happened, that enormous growth that you've seen? Is that because people were spending more, or is that because Shopify now has more businesses that it's serving and that it's tracking?
I would say there's a couple things that's happening right now. First of all, Black Friday and Cyber Monday, that weekend is beginning earlier on. We started seeing sales from our 600,000 and more merchants start as early as Monday of last week. So it is definitely extending. We're also seeing that the Black Friday, Cyber Monday tradition is expanding geographically well beyond just the U.S. We're seeing it now in places like Canada, Australia, the U.K., New Zealand, Western Europe. So other countries are also participating from a consumer perspective. But the other, I think, more interesting piece of this is that while Amazon will always have a place in e-commerce and will always play a big role for the things that you need to buy, your shampoo and your toothpaste and your toilet paper and your detergent, consumers want to buy products from people that make the products. And this idea that direct-to-consumer is just a fad, I think, is ridiculous. I think the future of commerce and retail will be consumers wanting to buy products from the people that make the actual products. And most of those stores, whether it's Bombas or Allbirds or Kylie Cosmetics or Kanye West or any of these sort of incredible brands, Brooklinen in New York City, they're all being sold using Shopify. And so that, I think, is a trend that we'll see continuing on for a long while.
Harley, I like how you did that. You kind of set Amazon on the sidelines. You said there'll always be a place in e-commerce for Amazon. I mean, right now they're the giant. They're the ones to compete against, no?
Again, Amazon is a wonderful marketplace, and I think they focus on convenience and price. But I think more and more what people liked about Amazon, for example, the one-click checkout, I mean, that's available on effectively every single Shopify store with things like Shopify Pay and Apple Pay and Android Pay. And I think more and more what's happening is these makers, these creators of real products, they're finding a lot more success going direct to the consumer. They get to own the entire profit margin. They get to own the customer experience. And I think from a consumer perspective, consumers are looking for that sort of DTC experience. And so I think that will be steady state going forward.
What were the most popular items you were seeing?
So generally, I mean, because we have so many stores on Shopify, we tend to see products sell across all product verticals and categories. Certainly apparel and fashion seem to be a big one in general. But two of the hottest selling products for Black Friday, one was sneakers. The sneaker market seems to be really heating up right now. And the second was toys. And I think that's really interesting. If you think about the toy market, you tend to buy toys for other people. And so you're seeing people are getting their Christmas shopping done on Black Friday.
There's no more toy stores.
And also, there is no, they can't walk into a Toys R Us the way they used to. And so what's happening is a lot of the toy makers, whether they're big companies or they're smaller companies like Goldie Blocks, which is an amazing toy for to teach girls how to get inspired to become engineers, they're selling direct to consumer and having phenomenal success using Shopify.
Hey, Harley, we've been talking a lot today and over the past week about customer acquisition cost online and the methods with which retailers are using, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or Google. Is there anything unusual this year in terms of what's working and what's not?
Yeah, I think the one thing that social media continues to provide is a bit of democratization for small businesses. I was one of the first merchants using Shopify more than a decade ago, and the way that I acquired merchants was really through AdWords. And so the store with the highest capital, the most amount of money, was able to spend the most and acquire the most amount of customers. That is not really the case anymore. Now creativity is trumping capital in terms of the main ingredients for success in customer acquisition. So what we are seeing a lot more. We're seeing product demo videos. Of course, we're seeing a lot of influencer marketing, but the influencer marketing we're seeing isn't necessarily just pay some big celebrity to endorse your product. We're seeing a lot more micro influencers that are playing a role there, and either they get a product that they get to try for free or they get some sort of benefit to talk about the product. That seems to be going well. But also, generally, brands and merchants on Shopify, they're finding customers in all types of different places, and not all of that costs a lot of money. They're finding customers on places like Pinterest and places like Facebook and Snapchat and Instagram. Some of those obviously have a cost to acquire attached to it, but some of those are just using sheer hustle and perseverance and grit to find people to buy their products, and I think that is very democratizing.
What does return rate look like at this point, and what do you put the average cost of a return at The reason we ask is, we were talking about this last week, it is not inexpensive to take on a return.
That's absolutely right. And if you're going to compete with some of the big marketplaces and the big retailers, like the big department stores, a good return policy, it has to be part of your business strategy. The one thing that I think is quite different is companies like ours, we are going now to the shipping companies, whether it's DHL or it's Canada Post or UPS, and we are negotiating rates on behalf of 600,000 merchants to give them way better rates than they would ever be able to get on their own. And so in fact, what we're trying to do is use economies of scale by aggregating all of our stores and then approaching the actual shipping companies to get these rates that traditionally only the biggest retailers and the biggest department stores.
I'm not just talking about the shopping costs. I'm talking about the actual handling, though, of the item. We were talking to a retailer last week who was saying it could cost us $5 to $10 literally just to take it back and actually deal with it, right? In a way that I think people don't necessarily appreciate when it comes to e-commerce.
Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely true. It is not inexpensive. It is not easy to do returns, but it's something that I think most retailers have to do. Where I think there is a little bit of relief here is with things like, the new iOS 12 comes with the AR kit, the augmented reality kit baked into it. And so a lot of retailers are now beginning to leverage technology to reduce the amount of returns. So for example, if you're buying a piece of furniture off a Shopify store, like your Magnolia, for example, one of my favorite stores, you're able to see the way that furniture is going to look in your home or your apartment, your condo in advance of purchasing it, which will lead likely to less returns. But there's no doubt about it, returns will continue to be a costly issue for merchants. But it will get cheaper over time as a lot of the shipping companies begin to realize that it's just a part of doing business, even for the smaller guys.
Harley, want to thank you for your time today. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much.